Tēnā koutou katoa. Ko Peterson tōko ingoa. Thanks for taking the time today from your busy schedules to join our lunchtime webinar, where I will share with you Whiria Ahuriri, Napier's draft multicultural strategy. My name is Rebecca Peterson. I'm a Senior Policy Analyst with the Napier City Council in the Strategy and Policy team. Just to let you know, we're recording this webinar. We've allowed 30 minutes today. If you need to drop off, please do so. The recording will be made available at our Say It Napier page for you to visit later on. I'd like to acknowledge a few people, community groups and organisations who supported the development of this strategy. In particular, Community Development Practitioner Tanya Jane, our Māori Partnerships team here at Napier City Council, and all of our advisory group members. We welcome feedback on the strategy from individuals, community groups, agencies, service providers, and the wider Napier community. Feedback is welcome until the extended date, Friday the 5th of December, and all of our details are on our Say It Napier page, www.sayitnapier.govt.nz. Feedback can be online or by mail. As part of today's webinar, please pop your questions into the Q&A chat, and we will look to answer these at the end of the presentation. The team will add the link to our Say It page into the chat as well. We have a drop-in session this weekend at Taradale Library, Saturday 15th of November at 10 a.m. If you'd like to pop down and share your feedback, we encourage you to. We also have hard copy forms and copies of the strategy for you to pick up, read and complete at Napier and Taradale Library and our Customer Service Centre. We're going to present the draft strategy first, including the vision, set of values and principles, and the 5 focus areas for the strategy. Then we'll provide a summary of recent data to help paint a picture of Napier's cultural communities. Finally, we'll share a bit about the journey to developing the draft strategy, including the process, who was involved, and our community engagement to date. Before we begin, we want to make sure we all understand what a community strategy is. A community strategy focuses on community-wide priorities. That means the strategy is not just focused on council-led activities. A community strategy intentionally goes wider than what council can influence and control. For it to be successful, a community strategy relies on other organisations, community groups, and other agencies to bring the strategy to life. The 2 core elements that laid the foundation for developing a multicultural strategy for Napier were authentic community engagement to ensure the strategy reflected the voice of our community, and to honour Te Tiriti o Waitangi as a foundation agreement for tangata whenua and tau iwi to live together. As we present today, you will hear how we threaded this through our process for developing the strategy. Starting with the title, Whiria Ahuriri. Whiria means to weave. In this context, it conveys the coming together of different strands and cultures, weaving together the social fabric of Ahuriri Napier. The name of the strategy was an outcome of the work with our advisory groups as we explored the meaning of different words associated with multiculturalism. Along with this, you'll see in the draft strategy the whakatauki, tuia, te muka, tangata, to connect the threads of our people, emphasising the importance of fostering a sense of community, building social cohesion within our Napier community. Tuia means to sew or connect, te muka refers to the threads or strands, and tangata means people. The vision of the strategy is simple. Together we thrive. Napier is a city where people from all cultures can belong and thrive. The values and principles represent the journey of how authentic relationships develop. You will see in this slide reference to the Potama step design, which reflects the steps or stages of building relationships as described in our values and principles. We start by offering respect, kindness, and aroha. This is manaakitanga. Then we identify connections, build trust, and a sense of belonging, whanaungatanga. Following this, we begin to work in partnership, aiming to achieve equity in community. This is kotahitanga. Finally, when we have established this, we are able to build stronger, more meaningful connections where we can have courageous conversations that demonstrates authenticity and integrity, mana tangata. 5 priority areas for the strategy have been identified, reflecting the voices and insights shared during engagement with our advisory groups, mana whenua, a range of organisations, and our cultural communities. I will now share each focus area. Focus Area 1 refers to community connection and cohesion. This is a place where there are connections within communities to help newcomers settle, meaningful intercultural relationships where cultural communities feel a sense of belonging and are respected and valued citizens. Our cultural communities build relationships with mana whenua for a better understanding of tikanga and te ao Māori. The next focus area, cultural expression and pride. This is where people can embrace, express, and have numerous opportunities to celebrate their cultural identity. It's also where the diversity of Napier is visible, valued, and represented in our public places and spaces. Wellbeing and safety is focus area 3, where Napier is a city that fosters physical, mental, cultural, emotional, and spiritual well-being. A place where people feel safe to be themselves, at home, at work, and in our community without feeling discriminated against. Focus area 4 is access and support, where people have easy and equitable access to reliable, trustworthy information, resources, services, and support, including access to language support, health services, immigration advice, employment and education pathways. Last but not least, focus area 5 is engagement and participation. This is where communities are empowered, represented, and have a voice, where people of different cultures have the opportunity to participate in all aspects of community and civic life. Once the strategy is adopted by Council, there will be an action plan developed. This will be led by a new advisory group made up of organisation representatives, cultural community leaders, and members of our diverse cultural background. The purpose of the advisory group will be to assist Council in identifying and prioritising actions under each focus area, providing leadership, guidance and support for implementation, proactively sharing resources, information and their experiences to achieve the vision of the strategy, to lead and deliver key projects and activities, and to keep the community updated and involved. The plan will be implemented in stages with a set of actions under each of the 5 priority areas. These will be phased over a 5-year period to make sure they are achievable and manageable. So that's the draft strategy. The next half of the webinar will give you an idea of our ethnic makeup and the process for developing the strategy. Looking first at our ethnic makeup, Napier community is becoming increasingly diverse. On the infographic slide, you will see we've included some of the most recent data from the 2023 census. Did you know that 1 in 5 people in Napier identify with another ethnicity other than New Zealand, European and Māori? On the lower left-hand side of the slide, we have reported the top 7 ethnic groupings, where 73.8% identify as New Zealand European, This is compared to 67.8% nationally. 24.2% of people identify as Māori, compared to 17.8% nationally. And although many of the other ethnicities report a smaller percentage than nationally, our ethnicity groupings over time indicate an upward trend from the 2013 census to today. This is shown in the middle column at the bottom of the slide. People who identify as Asian has increased from 3.5% in 2013 to 4.2% in 2023. This includes people from Southeast Asia, China, India, Sri Lanka, Japan, Korea, Afghanistan, Bangladesh, Nepal, Tibet, Pakistan, Mongolia, and more. People who identify as Pacifica has increased from 3.1% in 2013 to 4.2%. When we refer to Pacifica, we're talking about people who identify as Samoan, Cook Island Māori, Tongan, Niuean, Tokelauan, and Fijian. People who identify as Middle Eastern, Latin American, and African has also increased from 0.5% to 1.3% in 2023. Staying in the middle column, up the top, we highlight the number of languages people in Napier speak. Although we haven't included New Zealand comparisons in this slide, we can report that a higher number of people from Napier speak Te Reo Māori than nationally. 5.7% in Napier compared to 4.3% nationally. We can also report that more people speak Afrikaans in Napier and more people speak New Zealand Sign Language in Napier. Bottom right of the slide provides a snapshot of Napier residents' places of birth. Nearly 1 in 5 people in Napier are born overseas, and without drilling into the numbers, this is an increase of from 14% in 2013 to 18.2% in 2023. In addition to ethnicity data, we have community attitudes data about diversity in Napier. This is taken from our annual social survey, which reveals a recent decline in positive community attitudes towards diversity. In the middle of the slide, we can report that 69% of people in Napier feel accepted by their community in 2024. This is a decrease from 78% in 2023. And finally, 45% of Napier residents believe that diversity makes the city a better place to live. This is less than half, and it's down from 47% in 2023 and 54% in 2022. So now a bit about the journey and the process to developing the strategy. In May 2023, we began the process of developing the strategy in response to formal submissions from our community leaders and the knowledge that our community was becoming more culturally diverse. We completed a desktop review to understand more about what else has been done across the country, including reviewing 3 council multicultural strategies and 4 welcoming community programs. Just a note of explanation, Welcoming Communities is a program led by Immigration New Zealand in partnership with the Ministry of Ethnic Communities. It supports councils and their communities to create a more welcoming and inclusive environment for newcomers, recent migrants, former refugees, and international students. So it's focused on those living in our regions for 5 years or less. The desktop review came up with the following recommendations, which we took through into the strategy development. That the strategy had to focus on social cohesion across cultures as opposed to simply celebrating multiculturalism. That the strategy needed to embed local evidence, including community voice, and to ensure the strategy went beyond council-controlled activities to involve central government, community organisations, cultural groups, and the wider community. We developed an ethnic profile with the then current census data, reporting ethnicity data, languages spoken, religious affiliation, as well as education status, employment, and income information about specific ethnic groups. Both of these are included as part of the background document, which is on our Say It page. We engaged with mana whenua, presenting to Napier City Council's Māori Leadership Committee, Ngā Manu Kanaka o Te Iwi. We then established and began working with our advisory groups. The steering group had representation from a number of government and non-government organisations that play a key role in supporting our cultural communities day to day. With support of steering group members, we then set up the reference group, comprising community members from a range of backgrounds and representing different cultural groups and organisations. We held a total of 6 workshops with each to develop the bones of the strategy. We workshopped the vision, values, principles for the strategy, as well as the key areas that the strategy would focus on. Then we worked with our advisory groups to develop a database of stakeholders and then created a plan to engage with these during late 2024 and early 2025. The following slide is a more comprehensive list of who was involved in our advisory groups. So here you'll see the steering group involving key agencies who interact with our cultural communities, offering services such as the Ministry for Business, Innovation and Employment, who play a central role in New Zealand's immigration system, including combating migrant exploitation, the Ministry for Ethnic Communities, who act as the Chief Advisor to the Government on Ethnic Diversity and Inclusion, Police, whose focus is to prevent and respond to crimes impacting ethnic communities, then other agencies such as Health New Zealand, the Ministry of Social Development, Civil Defence, Red Cross, and local agencies who work with a range of ethnicities, including English language partners, Tautua Limited, and Te Kupenga Whiria Ahuriri. Our reference group, you'll see here, represented by a range of cultural communities from different backgrounds, including mana whenua representatives from Timikara Marae, Multicultural Association Hawke's Bay, members of the Napier Malayali community, Napier Youth Council, Chinese community, Punjabi, Brazilian, Sri Lankan, Pakistani community, Korean community, etc. Here are some photos of our advisory group meetings, workshops. As mentioned, we held 6 workshops over 9 months to develop the bones of the strategy. With the help of our advisory groups, we created 10 stakeholder groupings and a long list for wider engagement. Between October and December last year, we held a range of engagements, presentations, workshops, focus groups with business owners, secondary school students, EIT international students, council staff. We presented to the Community Network meeting, the Hawke's Bay Settlement Forum, and attended 4 large community events. Here are some photos from our engagement. We also were successful with receiving youth voice. Often it's a challenge to hear from young people. We had a really engaging session with students at Tamatea High School, and the resounding theme was how much they wanted to see shared learning about different cultures and faiths, and that this would make it easier for young people to be proud of their culture, feeling less judged and more comfortable in their own skin. This slide summarises our reach and methods of targeted stakeholder and community engagement. So as you can see, 7 workshops with approximately 99 people, 4 presentations or meetings with approximately 75 attend, 4 community events such as Diwali, Whānau Fest and Punjabi Language Week, where we engaged with nearly 400 people. We also completed a survey with 119 respondents, and of those, 18 represented were from different organisations such as EIT, Hindu Council, People's Advocacy, and nearly half had lived in Napier for 11 or more years. We asked participants about the current state, including the biggest challenges and issues for cultural communities in Napier. We then asked what a future state might look like and feel like if Napier was the best multicultural city, including the best place to live, work, play and belong for families, individuals and the wider community. All of the data and responses were analysed and grouped into themes to inform the focus areas. As stated in the engagement summary, this is all included in the background document, which is available on our Say at Napier website. As part of engagement, we received written feedback that describes the very real experiences of participants in our community. Here are a couple of pieces of written feedback that capture the essence of a lot of our engagement, including: we have instances of racial abuse more than once due to our colour and evident appearance as Muslims. A society with a better understanding of different cultures would make a lot of difference. There were also quotes offering solutions, such as encouraging a focus on sustainable long-term frameworks for inclusivity and a commitment from local leaders, organisations and community members. Thanks for listening today. Just a reminder of how you can submit feedback, which has been extended until Friday the 5th of December. You can feedback online, www.sayatnapier.govt.nz. You can pick up a hard copy form at Napier and Taradale Libraries and our Customer Services Centre, or you can find out more at our Drop-In Information Centre, 10 a.m. this Saturday at Taradale Library. I'm just going to pause sharing and I'm going to open the Q&A tab and see what questions have come through. Okay. So the first question we have is, can you speak more about why Council decided to develop this strategy? So as I mentioned earlier on, we began developing the strategy in May 2023 in response to formal submissions from community leaders. In the past, we've had programs including the Settlement Support Service. This folded in 2014, and since that time, the Hawke's Bay Settlement Settlement Forum have led our annual event Diversity. More recently, Council has also committed to the Welcoming Communities program, which supports new migrants in the city. This strategy is what will join all of this work, creating a formal framework or structure that will position this work and provide a more coordinated approach. You'll also be aware from the presentation today, confirming Napier is becoming more diverse. So this is a response to that. Okay, second question. How are we paying for this? Thanks for that question. So you'll be aware that Council has a limited budget to implement strategy alone. So that's why it's really important for partnerships and working across agencies. Council does have a community funding option that provides funding for not-for-profit community and voluntary organisations. This is one avenue for funding. The Ministry for Ethnic Communities has a development fund which funds projects for building social cohesion. So there's options for partnership funding. What's next? Good question, thank you. Once we've received feedback on the draft, we'll put together a report, make any final changes, and then take the final strategy to Council for adoption. This is likely to be in February 2026, and once Council approves the strategy, we'll share the final with our advisory groups and other interested individuals and organisations, and begin working with our community resilience team, who will investigate the establishment of an advisory group to develop an action plan and then lead to implementation. So that's our time for today. Thanks again for joining us. If there are any questions that you have following, please send them to us on www.sayatnapier.gov.nz. Thanks so much for your time today. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon. Kia ora.